Hi guys, so I tried to capture as much footage as I could when I started building the bunk beds for my grandbabies. Um, Most of this video is going to be time lapse, but I'll slow it down and try to explain to you what I'm doing at certain intervals. So let's get started. Right now, what I'm doing is creating the frame for the top bed. And so I am using 2x3s to create the frame. I have two 2x3s, and they are at 73.25 inches. And then the top and bottom piece is 35.25 inches, and so are the middle pieces. Okay, at this point, I decided to set the frame up so I can make sure the slates are level. When I had it on the ground, I only put in one screw, and so that's what I'm doing now. I'm adding an additional screw just to make sure it's secure. Now that I have the frame built, I'm ready to work on the top bunk. I already have a 2x3 attached to the stud in the corner. You can see that. And the green tape marks the stud, but I have one piece of tape so I know how high to place the 2x8 that I'm working with right now. That is the side rail of the top bunk that I am going to drill into the studs. As you can see, I already have my side rail up, and so now I'm adding the headboard piece. And with the headboard, I added pocket holes so I can screw in the headboard to the post as well as into the studs. I just want that extra security. That headboard is approximately 35 0.25 inches, and the side rail is approximately 73.25 inches. So the inches may vary depending on your wall space, but this is what worked for me. So now I'm adding the frame for the top bunk, and I'm using 3-inch screws to attach the frame to the 2x8 side rail. So I thought I'd pause here and let you know what I'm doing. At this point, I already have the other post up, the left post and the right post attached to the studs in the wall. And then you can see I have a 2x3 on top of the baseboard, and I have that as a brace. So now what I'm doing is adding the 2x8, the other side rail. And so I will attach that to the top bed frame, and I'll attach it with 3-inch screws from the inside. That way you can't see the screws on the outside. Okay, so now I am adding a 2x3 post to the foot of the bed. I'm going to attach that post by using pocket hole screws. The 2x8 that the 2x3 is leaning up against has pocket holes. And the reason why I did it that way is so that the screws are not visible on the post. As you probably know, there are multiple ways to frame out a built-in bunk bed. So I decided not to remove the baseboards because my grandchildren are going to outgrow the bunk beds, and I didn't want to have to replace the baseboard. So therefore I'm working around them. So I have a 2x4 sitting on top of the baseboard that I am attaching into the studs. And so I have that as the frame, because I'm going to add another piece of 2x4 to attach to the foot post. This just gives me an extra level of security to ensure that the bed is sturdy. So what I'm doing now is working on the safety rail for the top bunk, and it's made with 2x2s. At this point, I'm basically done with the top bunk and moving on to the bottom. I'm using 2x4s as a baseline for the frame for the platform bed. The bottom frame is approximately 76.25 inches wide by 75 inches long. I'm using a piece of scrap wood as my spacing guide, so I am consistent with my spacing. So at this point, I'm adding a little post to the 2x4 so I don't have to drill into the baseboard. This allows me to add another 2x4 underneath the piece that I have that I'm measuring now. I forgot to mention that I drilled pocket holes in one end of the 2x4s that's on the floor, so I can attach them to the 2x4 along the wall on the left hand side. The other end I am able to attach to the 2x4 using 2.5-inch screws. And so now I am about to add the slates. I have 15 2x4s at 16.25 inches, and each 2x4 has pocket holes on one end of them, so I can attach it to the 2x4 on the floor. Also, I am using a piece of scrap wood for consistent spacing. So now I'm adding 2x4s the length of the frame to sit on top of the slates. At this point, I realized I needed slates along the wall so that the plywood could sit flush on the wall. Here's where I'm taking a little bit extra time to be more precise. The slates and the top beam has to sit flush. That's why I'm using the level, just to make sure it's flush. So when I put the piece of plywood on it, it'll sit nicely. So at this point, I am done framing out the top bunk and the bottom bunk. And so that's it for this video. I will add another video in terms of how I created the stairs and the rest of the steps. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being here. Stick around for one more minute to see how it all came together.